batch apex will be having three methods. First method is a start method. Second one is an execute method. After that, we'll be having execute method. The start method will execute only once whenever the batch class execution starts. Okay. And the purpose of start method is to get a data from a Salesforce system. To query the data from a Salesforce system will take help of this get query locator method. Okay. So this get query locator method will run in a database.batchable context. So here in this get query locator method, you can write whatever the data you want to query. So the advantage of this query, with a synchronous basic SQL query is, with the SQL query, we can query limited records. But by taking help of asynchronous, this dynamic query, we can query up to 50 million records in a single transaction. That is the beauty of this dynamic query. So after querying the data on whatever the data you want to perform some DML operation, now whatever the operation you want to perform, you can specify that thing in an execute method. So execute method also will be executed in a batchable context. Here scope means whatever the data we queried above, that will be come up under the scope. Here scope means records. Okay. So here it will take the records. And we are iterating through all the records. Scope means we are iterating through all the records which we queried in a this start method. So after iterating through all the records, we need to update this field value lead source with a web. So we are doing that in a loop. We are performing assignment here. After doing assignment here, I'm updating a scope, means I'm updating all the records present in a Salesforce system. Okay, so it's about the thing. So while executing this Apex class will specify a batch size. Based on that batch size, the records will be executed for each and every batch. All the governor limits will be reset. Okay. The next here will be having finish method. So if you want to perform any post processing operations, like after executing batch class, like if you want to send a mail kind of thing, or if you want to display a success message kind of thing, if you want to do such kind of stuff, we can take help of feature method. Okay. To execute this also, I explained you like how we can do that. So it is about the thing. So in this way, you need to specify a class name and you need to instantiate, you can use some variable. With this, you can instantiate a class. After instantiating a class, to execute this Apex class, we need to take help of execute batch method, which is present in database class. In this, like whatever the instance you initialized, you can specify that instance. After specifying that instance, for single iteration, how many records you want to execute, on how many records you want to perform DML action, you can specify that count. So in this way, you can specify any integer number. By default, it will take this number as 200. So you can specify any number from 1 to 10,000, I think. Okay, it is about batch apex. So now we'll see another batch apex, that is queuable apex. As I already explained you, the purpose of queuable apex is, what is the purpose of queuable apex, Prashanti? What is the need of queuable apex? What is queuable apex actually?
You did not teach me. I did not go through it, Yakub.
Yes, I told you, I did not explain you, but I told you to overcome
Yeah.
all the limitations of a feature apex, we'll go through lead like a queuable apex. Okay. The purpose of queuable apex is, what is the spelling of Q? Q-U-E-U-E. A-B-L-E, queuable apex. Is it correct? Q-U-E. So I specified on Okay, this one is the spelling. No worries, like whatever it might be. Okay, so queuable apex, like this, I'm creating a class. The purpose of queuable apex is we'll be having few drawbacks in a future methods. Those drawbacks are whenever you want to define a future method, like we need to use a primitive data types only. But in a queuable apex, so along like we can use a standard like S object data types, and any data type you want to specific use, you can use that data type. So what will be the another drawback of queuable apex? So we can't perform DML operations directly, right? So we can do that thing also by taking help of queuable apex. We'll implement queuable apex now, and we'll see like how to implement this queuable apex. So the first thing is whenever you want to implement a queuable apex, we need to implement it on a queuable interface. So we need to implement it on a queuable interface. So I'm using implements. Spelling correct? Yes, it is correct. Implements QUE queuable. It is the interface. On this interface, we are implementing a queuable apex. So here I am defining a method. So it should be a public method and it should not return anything. That's why I'm specifying void method. And here I'm using execute method. The queuable method have an execute method. And we need to execute queuable apex in a queuable context. We need to run it in a queuable context. I'm specifying it here, queuable. We need to specify context. Queuable context, like whatever the variable name you want to give, you can pass it. I'm specifying the variable name like context only. So it is about the thing. So after this, like here, same operation, whatever we did so far, I need to perform same thing. Like I need to update all the lead records present in a Salesforce system. So for that, directly we need to query the data. List of, I need to query all the lead records. So I need to store this in a collection variable. So I'm specifying this name like existing records. Let's suppose equals to, we need to write a query in a synchronous way. Select, I need to get the ID field, and I need to get lead source from lead. Okay, we are querying the data. Why means like here we can use any data type. That's why directly we are using list collection, and along with we'll be using S object data type also. So we need to write an asynchronous code below. Till here it is like whatever the thing we used here, it is synchronous way only. So in this syntax, we need to write an asynchronous code here. Write asynchronous code. So here what I'll do is initially we need to iterate through the records. However, we did it previously. For I need to get a single lead record. So I'll use a variable name like a record only, like whatever the variable name you want to use, you can use that. And here we need to use this variable. So we need to iterate through all the entire collection, and we need to perform DML. Okay. In this DML action, what I'll do is I'll update the field like in the record. I need to take help of lead source. It's not giving. Why so? Lead source equals to, I need to replace it with a web. It is the thing. Okay. So after keeping this, we need to update all the records. So we need to, our code should be a bulkified code. Where is some mistake? No mistake. Okay. Update. We need to update this one. Okay. So far, well and good. So the advantage of the queuable apex is, so inside the feature method, can we call another feature method, Prashanti? Hello? Yes, Prashanti.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
inside,
yeah.
can you able to call one feature method in another feature method? Is it possible? So we
In
saw an error,
queuable
right?
apex,
Yeah, in
yes.
queuable apex we can do it, but in a feature method, can we able to do it?
No.
So here we can do that. You can call another queuable apex class as well. So in a one keyable apex, you can call another keyable apex also. But syntactically, compared to this, we'll be having very easy syntax for feature method. So if you have requirement, like if you want to use like apart from primitive data types, if you want to use other data types, you can go with a keyable apex. And sometimes you might have a requirement like if some automation is performed in the background, after that automation you want to perform some process in a background again. At the time you can go with the keyable apex. Make sense? Okay, we'll execute this keyable apex, like how we need to execute. You need to know that thing also, right? So we'll do that now. So whenever we want to run the keyable apex, we implemented it on a keyable interface. So whenever you want to execute a classes, asynchronous apex classes, which are implements on an like a interface, some interface, we need to instantiate that class always. So our class name is lead keyable, right? I'll instantiate this class now. File. Like I'll go to debug logs. Here I'll specify the class name and I'll specify li, means it is an instance name I'm keeping, bit smaller and bit easier. Okay, so the next when we need to run it, like we need to specify a, we need like here will we get a job ID. Like while explaining feature apex, I told you like whenever it is executed for each and every transaction, we won't get an information, like we won't get a job ID kind of information. Okay, so for that will be get a job ID, like for each and every DML actions in a one single operation will be getting job ID. So that's what I want to get it. That's why I'm saying ID of job ID. And the next what I'll say is system dot enqueue job. It's a method which is used to run an apex class. Okay, so in this enqueue class we need to specify a keyable apex class. So our keyable apex class name is this one, li. So simply we can specify li here. Control C, Control V. So I want to execute this one. So prior to this, what I'll do is I'll clear the logs. I clear the logs and I'll execute the highlighted portion here. Execute highlighted. You can see two log files are generated. One is for synchronous operation, like while querying the data, it is coming, and another for keyable apex. So I'm going to keyable handler. So it's successfully executed. All the records will be updated with the lead source within this one, lead keyable. Okay, so it is about this one. And like if you want to see the job information, like what we can do is set up. Here you can get the jobs, like whatever the batches, like whatever the things are ran successfully previously. Okay, and whatever the errors you'll be getting while executing asynchronous apex, you can see that complete information here. Okay, clear. It's about like a keyable apex. So along with this keyable apex, we'll be having another type of apex, that is a schedule apex. Like however, we'll be having scheduled triggered flows in a Salesforce. We'll be having like a scheduled apex. Okay, means we'll be having asynchronous apex. Like let's suppose if you want to run a specific apex class at the specific time, let's suppose every Friday I need to run some apex class, every Saturday or every yearly or every monthly, every quarter I need to run some apex class in a background. So at the time we can go with the scheduled apex. So if you want to perform any time based actions, we need to go with the scheduled apex. We'll see the importance of scheduled apex now by creating an apex class. Okay, so prior to that, like the purpose of schedule apex is like if you want to schedule some process in a background, we'll take help of scheduled apex. For the scheduled apex, we'll be having concept called cron expressions. We'll be having cron like concept called cron expression. So the purpose of cron expression is by taking help of cron expression, we can specify at what time our apex class needs to be run. We can specify at what time our apex class needs to be run. We can specify that thing by taking help of cron expression. So we'll be having few parameters in a cron expression. Initially, I'll explain you those parameters. Okay, we'll see those parameters now. So now the first thing, like I'll take a help of notepad. So here what I'll do is, so initially I'll explain you the cron expression. In a cron expression, we'll be having values like seconds, space. The next will be having minutes, space, hours, place, space. Like it is a structure. Initially, I'm building a structure. Day of month, space. So we'll be having month, space, day of week if you want to specify. Like these are the different parameters. I'll explain you all these parameters. Then you need to trace these things. So optional year. Year is an optional value. Optional year. So if you miss some value, means that will be considered like an year. Okay. So for the seconds, we can specify value from 0 to 59. For year, we can, sorry, for second value, we can specify like 0 to 59, any value. For minutes also same thing. So for the minutes, like we can specify values like 0 to 59 again. For hours, we can specify 0 to 23. It will follow the 24 hours clock. For that, like it will be considered like 0 to 23 will be the hours. And day of the month will be, it will be depends, like for some months, like for few months, like month dates will be till 30, like we can specify like 0 to 31 based on that month calendar. Okay, so the next, coming to the month, we can specify values like we can specify either we can use a keyword or we can specify a value in a cron expression. I'll explain you the how to write a cron expression also. It's an important thing, like you can face this question in interview as well sometimes. So you can write either John to December, like anything you can write in a capital case, like these keywords you can write it there. Okay, the next here we'll be having a few more parameters. Next we'll be having day of week. So we can specify this one as well. Day of week means here we can specify, we can write it in a two ways, 1 to 7, or we can say it like month Sunday to Saturday. Like it will week will be starts with Sunday and ends with Saturday. You can like any value like this. Okay, the next will be having optional year. We can specify null. By default we need not to specify anything, or we can specify the 4-digit number, like this, 1997 to 2000, like that. Like you can specify any 4-digit number. Okay, and we'll be having a lot of special characters we can use for the months and date of month, day of week, and for everything we can use a special characters. So let's suppose if you are writing a cron expression in place of day, sometimes you might specify values like 1 comma 2 comma 3. It means day of the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. On these 3 days you need to execute this specific synchronous scheduled, sorry, asynchronous scheduled apex class. Like that, like if you specify a comma, with the comma you can specify multiple values for a specific thing. If you want to specify multiple values, we can use a comma. So coming to the har also, let's suppose you specified 1 2 3 4, means I need to execute this apex class at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 4 o'clock as well. That is the meaning of this thing. So to specify a multiple values, either you can use a comma or you can use a hyphen also. Let's suppose for a day itself, you might say 1 to 5, means I need to execute this apex class from 1st to 5th of every week. Like on weekends, I should not execute. Like that, you can specify the values. So sometimes, like for the month, let's suppose or for the day itself, you might see in place of day, you might observe star in an expression. Sometimes we might specify a star in an expression. So if you are specifying a star means all possible values, means it needs to be executed 1 to 7 all days. Okay. So if you don't want to specify any value, so let's suppose you need not to, if you don't want to consider a day, you can specify question mark. So if you specify question mark means do not consider a day. So it is the purpose of this question mark. So the next specify an increments. So like if you want to perform an increment operation, you can use an hyphen. So it will be used for increment. So don't worry, we'll see an example. There you will understand this thing closely. Okay. So L means last possible value. W means closest weekday. So we'll see all those. Like I'll ask you the question. So you need to answer now by taking help of Cron expression. Okay. Let's suppose if I have a value like this. Okay. 0 space 0 space 13 space star space star. So what is the meaning of this one, this expression? So you need to trace back this thing like second space, minute space, hour space, means any day, day space, like you can consider like day space, month space. You need to consider like that. Here is an optional value. It's an optional value. Okay, so then tell me like at what time this apex class will execute if you specify the synchronous apex in this way, the cron expression like this. Tell me. 0 minutes, 0 hours, 13. 13 means 1 o'clock. So means this scheduled apex will execute every day at 1 p.m. Clear? Clear.
Yes.
So can I go with another example now?
Yes, Yakub.
Yes. So now what I am doing is I'll specify a bit complex example. In this, like what I'll do is I'll say 0 space, 0 space. Then next I'll specify 10, and I don't want to care about so seconds, minutes, hours, days. Do not consider, and here also I should not consider. But I'll specifying a keyword like Monday to Friday. So actual structure will be like first we need to follow this structure. Seconds, minutes, hours, day, month, year. It is the format. Along with this, optionally, if you want to specify a like syntax like this, you can specify like we'll be having a keyword kind of things, right? If you want to use such kind of things, you can use. Right? So now tell me like at what time this apex class will be executed every day or anything like you can say like at what time this will be executed.
At 10 a.m. on from Monday to Friday.
Yes, 10 a.m. on Monday to Friday. So it is about like a cron expression. Okay, like in this way you can trace a cron expression. Now what we'll do is we'll write an apex class. We will write a scheduled apex class and we'll schedule that apex class at a specific timestamp. Okay, we'll try that now. Is it fine? So how we can create a schedule class? On which interface we need to implement a schedule class? Yes. On which interface we need to implement a schedule apex? So Prashanti, on which interface we need to implement a batch class?
Batchable interface.
On which interface we need to implement a like which one implemented? Queuable apex.
Queuable.
So like
Queuable
that,
interface.
schedule apex class will be implements on a schedulable interface.
Okay.
Okay. Same example we'll see with a scheduled apex now. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll go to file and I'll create a new apex class. Now what I am doing is I'll create a schedule apex class. I'll give a name like lead schedule. I'm giving name like lead schedule, schedulable, let's suppose. Schedulable is not required. Now, perfect. Now we are creating a schedulable Apex class. Now we need to implement schedule Apex in a schedulable like interface. Implements, I'll specify schedulable. Okay, like I'm implementing it on a schedulable interface. So whenever we create an Apex class, like we need to create a method also in it. So it's like whatever the things we did so previously, I'll copy paste that code here. Same code I'm copying there. Let's suppose. Okay, so on which interface we need to implement it? On which context we need to execute it now then? Which context?
Schedulable.
Schedulable context. We need to create this class. Like I'll specify context name also. SC. SC means schedulable context. Okay, and here whatever the code you want to write, you can write that code like whatever we did previously. So here we are writing our code. Same thing, same code, and everything is same. And update record also same thing. Okay, it is about the thing, it is about the structure. Now what I'll do is we're getting a problem. What is the problem? Lead schedulable class. Lead schedulable must implement schedulable execute. So where we're missing, yeah, we'll be having execute method, right? So here also we'll be having execute method only. It is executing and schedulable only. So lead schedulable line 1 class lead schedulable must implement method schedulable execute. Implement schedulable. What is this error? Okay. System dot schedulable context. Sorry, here we need to use schedulable context actually. It needs to be implemented on schedulable context actually. Yes, it's resolved. So now we created an Apex class. The cinema is the different things between both the things is executing an Apex class. So to execute this asynchronous Apex, how we can execute? We need to write a cron expression. So now I want to execute this Apex class every day, like not every day, on every Monday at 3:30 p.m. So for that, we need to write a cron expression. Okay, so for that, how we can write a cron expression? I'll go to debug anonymous window. So here, what I want to do is lead. Sorry, what is our Apex class name? Simply we can copy paste that name. Lead schedulable. It is our class name. I'm copying this class name. So we need to instantiate it. So I'll specify like si equals to new schedulable class name, and we need to instantiate it. So after instantiating it, we need to specify a cron expression in the form of string. I'll say string, like I'll use a variable like cron expression. So for this cron expression, we need to define a value in the form of string. So tell me every day at 3:30 p.m. I need to execute it. 0 space 0 space 30 minutes at 3 o'clock every Monday. So I need not to care about month. So every year I'll be considered, and I need to execute that on every Monday. Okay. So if your schedule is like this, now what you can do is now here you can get a job ID, job information. How we can get, like in the form of string, I need to get this information. String, I need to get job ID. Okay. So for this job ID, like I need to store it. Like for this, what I'll do is system dot schedule. Like I'm scheduling this Apex class, I'm using schedule method. Okay. So the next here job name we need to specify. What is our job name? So like I'm specifying here, I'm not specifying anything. Let's suppose I'll specify name of the job like sample job. Let's suppose. like it is a test job only, right? That's why I'll whatever the name you want to specify for this job, you can specify that. I'll specify like sample job, let's suppose. After this sample job, we need to specify cron expression. So we defined cron expression in this variable only. Same variable he given here. Like it is same thing. And schedulable. So here on which interface, like whatever the variable we use it here, on which means it on which class we are executing it. So schedulable, it is our class name, like instant, like whatever the thing we instantiated, that will be come up here. Now in this way you can execute it. So if you want to change this time and everything, you can change it and you can execute it. I'm executing, sorry, I executed everything. So what I'll do is I'll execute this highlighted portion only. Neglect first. R values must be between 0 to 23. What we given here for R, we specified 3, right? Sorry. What we specified in a cron expression?
Specified 30.
Sorry. Oh, minutes, like seconds, minutes, hours. Sorry, we did a mistake. So 0 in place of seconds we can specify. 30 means it is a minute. It is hours, 3 hours. Now it's correct, right? Like that is a 2-digit number, right? Second. That's why I got like I kept a space in between. Now it's executed. Logs. Log files also generated for this. Har value must be like it is the previous error. Now we can see a success message. Like if you go to the job ID, like you can see the job, like whenever that is executed successfully, here you can find an Apex job. Okay, so now if you refresh these, you'll be getting a new Apex job. So you can see the status also here after creating a job. So if you want to get the job ID, like you can write a debug statement also in this. See, you can say queued. Queued means like it is in a queue, like whenever the time reaches, it will execute this up the scheduled class at that specific time. I'm reducing the size of the screen. So lead schedulable Apex class, I'm reducing further more. Like it's a job ID. You can find a job ID here. Okay. So whatever the time we scheduled this Apex class, at the specific time, this will be executed. In this way, you can create any Apex class and you can schedule it so that with whatever the time is scheduled at that specific time, this Apex class will executed. Okay, clear? Any doubts on the asynchronous Apex? So asynchronous Apex is a very important concept for interviews. So coming to the interview perspective, you'll be get a trigger scenario based questions, and next you'll be face a question on asynchronous Apex, like on which scenario will use which Apex, and like what is the difference between each and everything, and what are the advantages, and what will be the syntax of each and every asynchronous Apex. What is the cron expression? Can you please able to write this kind of like a cron expression for this specific scenario? Like that, you'll be face a questions on these topics. Apart from these topics, you'll be face a questions on ARA components also, like coming to the ARA components, what is the advantage of ARA components? What will be the difference between ARA component and LWC? And the next, can you please build an ARA component to display all the contacts on an account page by keeping a button? Like that, such kind of questions also you get. So for the ARA components, what I'll do is I'll prepare a code snippets and I'll take at least 3 to 4 scenarios, and I'll explain you those things in an upcoming sessions. So tomorrow I'll prepare that, and Monday I'll explain you the ARA framework. And after that, like I'll try to get an integration scenario based questions. I'll try to explain you at least one scenario, at least like I'll like will create a will at least will integrate with a postal API. And what we can do is in a Salesforce system, whenever you specify a village name or like a pin code, we need to get an address of the specific place. Like that will I'll try to implement some integration kind of thing. I'll work on that. Any questions so far? Like if you want to learn some concepts also, let me know, so that like I am passionate to teach. So I'll, though if I don't know those concepts, I'll try to prepare myself and I'll give you the knowledge on those topics as well. Okay, I'll try to do that. Is it fine? So today I'll update all the videos in a folder. Okay.
Yakub, can you give me access to the videos of flows also, because the drive that you provided to me just gives me access to the developer ones.
Okay, like do you need a yeah, like you can do a lot of super badges on flows. There are around 16 super badges previously, but they will added 3 or 4 more super badges. So you can work upon super badges on flows. I'll give you access of complete admin, no worries regarding that. But what I am saying you is, like, if you want to gain a more knowledge on flows, you can complete the super badges of your flows. If you're stuck somewhere, message me, I'll help you on that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Richa, sorry, from you, Prashanti, anything is there?
No.